Hello everyone, my name is Oksana Lyoshina. I am the manager of support at ShortPoint, and today I'm glad to be talking with you about SharePoint permissions. Let's overview today's topic a bit. So first of all, we will be talking about the general notion of permissions, and we will see how companies can use permissions in their intranets. Then we will move to discussing permission groups and levels. We will see how we can do a custom setup of permissions at a very granular level. And then we will also discuss the inheritance of permissions. And in the end, we will also talk a little bit about modern experience permissions. We will see how SharePoint has introduced a new way to managing permissions and also to sharing files. So let us start with the general notion of SharePoint permissions. When we hear about permissions, we should understand them as, in essence, tools to grant or deny user access to SharePoint resources. With the help of SharePoint permissions, I can basically decide if I want to share this or that page with my team members only, or if I want it to be available to my whole organization. Or maybe I even want to make a public access page and allow all intranet users to come see it. All of this is available to me in SharePoint. It is important to note that permissions in SharePoint is a very powerful and valuable feature. Many organizations and businesses across the world use SharePoint because how precise it can be with the permissions. Permissions allow us to control the confidentiality of information. They can be customized from the greatest to most granular level. And it is easiest to imagine permissions as logs on site resources. Only users that have a proper key can access, edit, or delete the resources. Other users cannot access the resources without a key. You can set it up so users will not even know that a site or a page like that exists. So if you want to understand the SharePoint permissions, the first thing to remember is the concept of 3 SharePoint groups. This concept works for both classic and modern experience and is there for quite a long time already. So what's it about? Basically, there are 3 major permission groups in SharePoint. The first one is the site visitors that you can see here on the bottom of the screen. Users in the visitors group have not so much rights on the site. They have view-only permissions, which means all they can do is to see content as it is presented. The second group in the middle of the screen are site members. These guys are cooler than the visitors because they can add, edit, or delete content. They can actually change things in the site, or subsite, or list, or folder, which site visitors cannot do. Then the third group at the top is the most privileged in terms of permissions. They're called site owners, and they can do everything that the previous groups did. But in addition, they have a control over security, navigation, they can add or delete default web parts, they can approve other people's work, and they have other extended admin rights. Let me show you how these 3 groups look in SharePoint site. So I'll go to a classic site right now. Site settings. We will open site permissions from here. And this is where we can see the 3 default groups I was talking about, the visitors, the members, and the owners. So if we go to open the owners group, I will see myself there as the only owner of my site. And if I get back and let's say I want to share my site with a visitor, I will go open the visitors group and I'll have to add this person inside the visitors group. So here I have the button new. I can add users and I'll add a person I have a demo user here, which is named Super Reproducer. So I can include a personal message for him, and then I can share. He will receive an invitation into his mailbox, and he will also get rights to view my site. Okay, returning back to the presentation. We have learned about the 3 user groups, the view, edit, and full control. So view, edit, and full control are the levels. These groups, visitors, members, and owners are groups, and each of them has view, edit, and full control levels. In this slide, as you can see, I show that they go from less advanced to most advanced here. So they go from view to full control, but nevertheless in SharePoint in total, there are 6 permission levels. So let us look at the full picture. We can see 3 additional levels have appeared. So the read level allows the user not only to view the information, but also to download it. The view user cannot download anything while the read user can. The contribute level, this level allows to edit items, but only on the level of items. For example, I can add an item to the list, but I cannot add a list to the site. Contributors operate on the level of individual items and have read and view rights just as the previous groups. It is important to mention here that the edit level user operates on the level of lists and libraries, and this is what makes him more advanced than the contributor. The design level allows user to approve items created by other users and allow or deny their publication on the website. Designers can also customize the look and feel of the sites. Let's take a look at how this is presented in the SharePoint interface. We again go to our site. I will get back to my site settings. Click on permissions. And let's say I have, I'm hiring a designer for my company and I want to create a user group that will have designer permissions. So it's easy to do if I click here on create group. I will name it my site designers. I will be the owner of my group, or I can place another person to have ownership of this group. And here I have the levels of control of permissions that I can give them. So I'm choosing the design level and I click here create. So now my site designers group is created, and now I want to add my newly hired person here. The same way, I just add him here, I type their name here and I click share. He will appear in this group. I have already mentioned that ShortPoint permissions are very, very customizable. They are not limited to the levels we discussed in the previous slides. For those that want extra precision and control over what a user can and cannot do, we have granular level permissions. Let me show you how they work. So here, when I go again to my permissions main page, I have a little button that says permission levels. I click it. Here we have the 6 groups. And let's say I want to create my own custom level because any of these doesn't fit me. Let's say I want to have permissions very similar like view only, but something I will change. So I will click the view only, and I have granular level permissions all over here. Most small things that a user can or cannot do. So since I want to create something very similar to this, I will just click here, copy permissions level. And this will allow me to create a new permission level on the basis of what I already have. So I will say, let's say I don't want, I have everything like in view, but I want the users to not create alerts, but I would like them to browse directories. So I will make a name here, let's say custom view. And this is how I create a new permission level. So later on, users can be assigned this new custom view level of permissions. This is how you can set it on all levels that we can see here. It's important to notice here that we always need to try to keep things simple and comprehensive so that the permission level system makes sense for you as an admin and for your users, because it's very easy to get lost in too much customization. The next topic I would like to tell you about today is the permissions inheritance. So SharePoint resources can inherit different types of settings from the highest to the lowest levels. It means that the settings created for the top level resources will be the same for resources on every lower level. Let's look at this chart here. You can see that on the top level, we have the site collection root site. On the lower part of this hierarchy, we have subsites. On even lower part, we have lists and libraries. Lists and libraries function on the same level for every subsite. Next, we have folders in our list and libraries. And finally, the last and smallest part are individual items. This is the hierarchy for SharePoint site resources that inherit permissions from top level to bottom. What does this mean? If inheritance is on across all of these site resources and my team has access to the site collection root, it automatically has access to all further resources down to the level of items. Nevertheless, as you can see from this color scheme here, inheritance can be broken. We have two subsites that go under the site collection root. And we have the same permissions, black permissions that go down on one subsite, and yellow permissions indicate that we have broken the permission inheritance on one subsite level, and then we made unique permissions for this one subsite. So I will have different permission scheme for that subsite. And since everything below that subsite inherits from this subsite, it will all have the same permissions. We can break the permission inheritance on any level we want. The smaller level is the folder level. So the smallest level that you can change the inheritance and give unique permissions is the folder level. So as you can see, the pink folder means that we broke the inheritance here, and the item in this folder will inherit permissions, unique permissions from that folder. In a website, it will look the following way. I have a team documents library here. So let's say all of these documents are available for my entire team, but there is a folder which says documents for CEO. This folder I want to share exclusively with the CEO of the company, and I don't want my team to see it and to have access to it. So this means I want to break the inheritance on the level of this folder. Let's see how we can do it. I will click the ellipsis here, and I want to click share with, and here I have advanced options. So it shows all of the groups to me, and it shows stop inheriting permissions sign. So at the moment, this folder inherits the permissions from the library, and all of the team sees it. When I click stop inheriting permissions, this link will be broken. The groups that come from the upper level will still stay here. So I will delete them one by one. I will remove user permissions from all of them, one by one. Actually, not one by one. Remove user permissions. And then I will grant permissions to only one person. So I will again use my demo user here. Let's say he is the CEO, and I will click share to share this folder only with him. And further, he will only be the one who will see this folder and nobody else. Returning back to the presentation. Next topic is a little bit to talk about the modern approach to permissions. So SharePoint modern experience changes the way the permissions are set up. We already discussed in one of our previous videos that with every new modern team site, a group is automatically created. And in this group, it's like a personal space that people can share, and they use other products that are not only a SharePoint site, they also use Outlook, they use Power BI Workspace, they use a Teams group, they can share stream videos there. So in modern SharePoint, every time I would like to invite a user inside my group, I would have to be a member of the group, and then I just send them invitation. And they will be not only using the SharePoint site, but they'll also be using the other resources like Power BI and Teams and Stream and Outlook if I invite them to the group. So this chart here actually represents if you're inside the group is locked for other users, but if you invite them inside the group, you can share other resources with them. If you only want to share the SharePoint site and you don't want them to access those additional resources like Teams and Outlook and Yammer, you can go the old way, the classic way that I was just showing to you in the site settings, and you can only share the site with a person. And they will only see the site, but they will not be a member of every other service that you have in your group. And the last thing to talk about today is a modern approach to sharing items. So in SharePoint Modern Experience, you can customize sharing links to make sure your information gets only to the right people. Let's look at how it looks in the modern site. So I have this Contoso electronic site here, and I have a document library. In this document library, I have two things, a report and questions for marketing campaign Word document. And let's say I would like to share it with my marketing team. So what I do is I click here and I click here and I select share. So this is a panel that allows me to modify the link itself. First of all, I can type the marketing here to find my marketing group. Here it is. I think it wasn't chosen. Let's try again. Oh, okay, it's here. Marketing members. So we have marketing members here. We can send this link to them and it will go to their mailbox. But we can also copy the link and send them any other way that we want. But let's say I don't want to share it with them while I haven't yet shared it with a person that would approve it first. So I don't want anyone in my organization to see the contents of this file while this person has not yet approved it. I go here and I just select specific people so nobody else sees it. Also, I don't want this person to edit the file, and I also don't want them to download this file. So I'm blocking the download. I click apply, and then I'm selecting the person I want to share it with, and then I click send. So this particular link will work for that one and only person, and it will not work if I will send it to other members. Yeah, let's return back to the presentation. This means that you can actually set the permissions inside sharing links, which is another new approach that modern experience allows you to do. That's it. I hope you found this information useful, and I will that it helped you to understand how SharePoint permissions work. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your attention.